If you find yourself gravitating towards simplicity, if you find yourself becoming more and more intentional with what you spend your time on and who you spend it around, you might just be a minimalist without even knowing it. The global pandemic over the past few years has really shifted many things into perspective for a lot of people all over the world, and we're seeing a real shift in how people want to spend their time, and equally true, how they don't want to spend their time. Many of us pause to think deeply about who we are, who we want to be, and how we want to spend our time and energy moving forward. There seems to have been a radical shift in the way many of us are viewing our time, our material possessions and life priorities, and what we want to spend our time surrounded with. In the wake of this period of immense change since 2020 specifically, I think it has left a lot of people scratching their heads, wondering more than ever what they want out of life, and perhaps even more so what they don't want. And this is where I think minimalism has a lot of answers to offer. So in the hopes that this helps you understand a little more about yourself and what you do and don't want moving ahead in life, today we're talking about minimalism and 12 clear signs that you might be becoming or already are a minimalist.
First up, what exactly is a minimalist? There's a lot of confusion about what minimalism actually is as a lifestyle, so it's understandable why there's also confusion about what exactly a minimalist is. Hearing that someone is a minimalist might even conjure up images of someone in a black shirt and matching pants sitting cross-legged in an empty white room with no furniture. Now that sounds uncomfortable, so we're here to say that is not what a minimalist is, at least not for 99.9% of people who call themselves minimalists. And we both know because we are minimalists. So to answer the question, what is a minimalist? A minimalist is someone who prioritizes intentional simplicity in their life. They focus on the essential and most important, whilst consciously reducing the excess and the non-essential in their life. They try their best at decluttering the things they don't need, use, or love. This includes physical material possessions, but it also extends to commitments, distractions, relationships, and priorities. Minimalists foster a mindset that prioritizes experiences, meaningful relationships, and personal fulfillment over the accumulation of material things. They seek to create a life with purposeful simplicity at its center and remove unnecessary clutter, both physical and non-physical, all in the effort of focusing on what truly matters to them in life. Some of the core principles of minimalism include mindfulness, simplicity, quality over quantity, experiences over things, decluttering, intentionality, environmental sustainability, less is more, and gratitude. A minimalist tries to embody these principles in their everyday life. And by focusing on simplifying things, a minimalist intentionally and purposefully focuses on what matters the most to them in life. This will look wildly different from person to person because we all have different values, goals, and aspirations. But at its core, you can say you might become a minimalist if you resonate with these principles that we mentioned. And there's also the following 12 quite specific signs that you might be becoming a minimalist.
Number 1, you've started prioritizing less clutter. Clutter is anything that you don't love, need, or use. It's the stuff that fills your space or your life without giving any real meaning to it. It's the stuff you're meh on, the stuff that you begrudge needing to dust and rearrange, the stuff you're holding on to and don't really know why. So once you start wanting that feeling of freedom that you get from decluttering, and that comes from owning less, then you've already started showing the first sign, and perhaps the most tangible, that you might be becoming a minimalist. When you find that your eyes are wandering around the room to try and look for things that might constitute as clutter, then you've already started. Clutter is never anything that you love. It's the stuff that fills up your space, your wardrobe, your life, without you really thinking about if you even really want to keep it there. It's the moment you start to think to yourself, I'd like less clutter. That's when you show the first sign of becoming a minimalist.
Next up, as sign number 2 that you're becoming a minimalist, we've got that you're taking better care of your things that you decide to keep. After less clutter, we're left with things that we do actually cherish and want to keep. Once you start taking care of these things and really value them, it's becoming clear that you're starting to think with a minimalist mindset. It's one of intentionality and gratitude, just like we chatted about earlier when we went over the core principles of minimalism. When you take true care of your things by practicing gratitude and care, preventative maintenance, repairs, and love and attention, for example, you really start embodying a minimalist mindset towards valuing the most important, essential, and worthwhile things.
Third, another sign that you're a budding minimalist is that you don't feel the pressure or the need to keep up with trends. Clothing trends come and go, and keeping up with the latest new fashion trends is exhausting, time-consuming, money-intensive, and clutters up your closet. When you're a minimalist, you no longer worry about keeping up with trendy clothes or accessories because your sense of worth is more than the logos printed across your bag. That's not to say that you don't have nice things. Minimalists still spend money, but it's the feeling of societal pressure behind it that's gone. You might still love clothing and fashion and be a minimalist, but you're honing in on your personal style. And don't fall prey to the merry-go-round of trends coming and going season after season. Buying clothes becomes an intentional act when you're a minimalist.
Closely tied to our previous point, we've got our fourth sign that you might be becoming a minimalist. You've started prioritizing quality over quantity. I think this is actually one of the first signs I remember when I started learning about minimalism. Quality over quantity. It's one of the core principles that we chatted about earlier, and it's a pretty solid sign that you're becoming a minimalist. When you start thinking along the lines of, I'd rather have 3 quality pairs of pants that I can cycle between and I feel confident and comfortable in, versus, I guess I'll just buy these cheap, colorful pairs of pants I can just add to my ever-growing collection of pants that I then toss all around the room when I'm trying to get ready in the morning. Would you rather option 1 or option 2? Quality or quantity? That's the kind of mental shift that happens when you start thinking about the quality instead of purely the number of things that you own. The less you own, the easier it is to get ready for work each morning. There's less outfit combos need to worry about matching while trying to remember if that specific item actually fits you well. When you focus on having a few high quality items, your morning becomes easier and your mind can focus on more important things. The same is true for friendships. It's simply better to have a few great quality, dependable, trustworthy, and loyal friends than to simply focus on the sheer quantity. The more you start to catch yourself thinking about quality versus quantity, it's one more sign you're on your way to becoming a minimalist.
Next, we've got the 5th sign that you're becoming a minimalist. You're mindful and intentional of where you're spending your time. Time is precious. It's something that we all have the same amount of. Yes, we all have varying degrees of influence over how that 24 hours is spent and what our responsibilities are over the course of the same day. But when you really start to be mindful over where you're spending your time, the time that you do have a certain degree of flexibility over, then it's a clear sign that you're starting to think like a minimalist. Just like decluttering physical possessions is fundamental to being a minimalist, being discerning with how one spends their time is also key. Thinking deeply and intentionally about your schedule and what things, events, and outings you want to spend your time at, and saying no when you need to. That's the mark of minimalist thinking.
Number 6 on our list, if you're on your way to becoming a minimalist, you're not being tempted by loud marketing. Just as you're not pressured to adhere to trends, if you're thinking like a minimalist, then you don't find yourself swayed by loud marketing. Living in a consumerist society, this one takes quite a bit of purposeful and mindful thought about. First and foremost, what is it you don't need or even want? Ads are everywhere. And unless you've asked yourself what it is you don't actually want to spend your hard-earned money on, then it's easy to get sucked into clever marketing campaigns that aim to get you to spend money on things that you don't necessarily want, if it weren't for seeing that advertisement in the first place. Now, I'm again not saying that minimalists don't spend money, because that is definitely not the case. Minimalists do spend money. It's just that they're hyper mindful of where their money's going and what they're spending it on. They're mindful of the things that they don't want to fill their homes with. So if you find yourself questioning, really deeply questioning, if you actually want or need the thing the loud ad is telling you that you need, it's a good sign that you're more of a minimalist than you might give yourself credit for. Minimalists don't get bowled over by advertisements to buy things that don't align with their ethics, morals, lifestyle, or homes, no matter how good the marketing is. They think deeply about if they need it, if they'd use it, or if they love it. Remember, clutter is anything that you don't love, use, or need. And minimalists don't load themselves up with mindless clutter. They take a deeper look and switch this thinking on, especially if the advertisement and marketing is on point.
Linked to our last point, if you're a minimalist or becoming one, then you nearly always use some sort of a wish list system before you purchase something. This is the equivalent of adding something to your hearted list on Amazon or jotting an item down in your notes app to circle back to later when you've had some time to think about it. Using a wish list system like this means that you're adding in an extra step of intentionality to your purchasing choices, which is a great thing. Having a wish list lets the thought of having an item percolate in your mind before jumping straight into purchasing it. It's actioning the wonderfully smart advice of sleeping on it. want. We're far more mindful of what we're buying when we've had time to think about it. So if you are already using a wish list, then you might be a little more minimalist than you thought before starting this video.
8th on our list, we've got a simple and effective way of simplifying your life, more specifically your home, by having a box dedicated to donations in your house. If you have a specific box, bag, or spot in your house for those items that you've decided that you're going to donate, then it's a wonderful sign you're actively thinking like a minimalist. We've always got a spot in our wardrobe for donations, and we empty it out as often as we can whenever we stop by thrift stores. Having a dedicated spot or box like this in your home means you can always have a very easy reminder to declutter your life little by little. You don't need to save all your decluttering efforts for spring cleaning. If you make decluttering and simplifying a commonly practiced exercise, it'll mean that you're far more likely to actively look for things to donate and get rid of clutter from your home far more regularly.
Building upon number 8, we've got our 9th sign that you might be a minimalist. You no longer browse stores just for fun. When we browse stores or go window shopping, either in person or online for hours at a time, simply just for fun, then we're really engaging our brains to look for things that might strike our fancy, things that we might actually want. As we've chatted about before, being a minimalist certainly doesn't mean that you don't surround yourself the things that you enjoy, but it does mean being intentional with what we're filling our homes, lives, and our time with, to legitimately not have anything remotely in mind of what we're looking for, but spending hours browsing just for fun is kind of at odds with the whole intentionality thing. There will still be things that jump out to you, advertisements that you filter out, and the itch to pull out your wallet if and when you do stumble across something that you like the look of. So it's just not an activity that I put in the minimalist bucket. So if you find yourself spending less and less time browsing clothing and home decor stores just for fun, that's a pretty solid sign that you might be becoming a minimalist. Also, if the idea of minimalism and simplifying your life intrigues you and you want to be more of a minimalist, then this is a great and really simple way to make big strides in that direction by cutting down on your just for fun browsing and shopping.
Number 10 on our list, you follow a one in, one out mindset. There's a minimalism rule that goes by the name the one in, one out rule. It's not necessarily a strict rule that you need to follow, especially if you're just starting out on your minimalism journey, but it's the mindset of if this, then what? If I buy this thing and bring it into my home, then what can I let go or what am I replacing? It's a helpful way to think about things before you bring new stuff home. It helps cut down on stuff piling up and up in your home until it becomes overwhelming. It cuts down on doubling up on duplicates and it helps your wallet too. So if you find yourself thinking, what could I get rid of before I bring this new thing in? It's a wonderful sign you're starting to think like a minimalist.
Number 11, you start saving more money than ever before. This is one that some people might crook their heads at when they first hear it, because minimalism is not necessarily always linked to saving money in a lot of people's minds. They might think of expensive art with clean lines and things like quality over quantity, which usually does come with a higher price tag attached. But it's clear that when you think long term about putting money into quality items that last, you'll end up saving money. You can still definitely be a minimalist even if you hate expensive art with crazy clean lines. Josh and I are cozy minimalists. Since becoming minimalists and putting our effort into the things that we love, need, or use, we've saved a huge amount of money. When I downsized my wardrobe by 80% of its contents and stopped buying clothes that I didn't need, thanks to minimalism, I have saved a lot of money. Many of the things that we chatted about earlier, like not buying into trends, not falling for loud marketing, or browsing stores just for fun, it all helps you save money. More than that, if you're being mindful with your money and what you're buying, you're most likely going a step beyond just saving money with minimalism and focusing on spending your money on assets rather than liabilities, which actually makes you money in the long term. So yay for minimalism, it really does help out your bank account. So to recap, if you're saving more money than ever before and enjoying it, then you might just be an inspiring minimalist, even if you don't know it.
Last on our list, a sign that you're a minimalist is your feeling of contentment and gratefulness for what you have. When you distill and curate your life into what matters the most to you, the feeling of being content and happy with life will follow, not just at the end, but also during the process. Similarly, if you want to feel content and grateful for what you already have, becoming a minimalist is a wonderful way to pursue that light, happy, grateful, and content feeling of knowing your life and surrounds aligns with your purpose and values. So if you're not already feeling content and grateful for the things that you already have in your life and the things that you can let go of to make way for the life that you deserve, then minimalism can help.
So there you go. There's 12 clear signs that you might be becoming, or perhaps already are, a minimalist.
If you're keen to dabble more in becoming a minimalist, or perhaps if you already are, we've got a fun 30-day minimalism challenge we've linked in the description below if you'd like to check it out.
We hope some of the things on our list today resonated with you. If they did, what was the biggest one for you? Let us know in the comments below. We'll see you in the next one.
Bye.
We so cute. Also, you have Addie's hair
Oh, that's
everywhere in your beard. Has it been like that whole time?
Oh, probably.